Welcome to this video for round 4 of the Norway Supertournament, and I think it's called the Supreme Masters or something. Is it? Yeah, Supreme Masters, I think. I looked it up on the website. Okay, round 4. After 3 rounds we have Kayakin leading the field with 3 out of 3, amazingly. And he's followed by Aronia and Anand, both on +1, so already 1 point behind. And Magnus Carlsen, who's playing on home turf, only is on 50%. He played 3 draws. Yeah, okay, he cannot win every game, but he certainly expected more. Let's look at the games. I'll do it a bit differently than in the first 3 rounds, because I have the 2 decisive games. I'll be spoiling a bit, are just much more interesting than the draw. So I'll do 3 games rather quickly and then concentrate on the 2 most interesting games. We had Topalov playing John Ludwig Hammer. Topalov on -1 after losing against Anand, and Hammer has got 0 points. And Topalov goes for the fianchetto line against the Grunfeld. Hammer playing with C65, and Topalov, funny enough, plays Kramnik's innovation with E3, playing the line of his arch rival. Okay, so we get a relatively quiet opening. Maybe can take stock quickly here. White has developed very harmoniously. It's got good bishops on G2 and A3, and Black also has fianchettoed both bishops and put up a solid position in the center. Maybe at one point playing E5, or if the moment is right, C5 to open up and equalize in the center. Of course, C5 is not on at the moment. White's got too much pressure on the center, but in general it looks like a position where maybe White is very slightly better, but nothing too scary. As it proceeded, we see that the situation in the center has changed. Black took on C4 and opened with E5. And this position here, actually I would favor White. The problem is, if you look a few moves later, this feels very, very normal. If you look at this happened. Now the bishop on A6 is a big problem, and on D5 this is just a very dominating piece. And Black has a hard time to defend here. He probably can, but it's a bit uncomfortable. I think he did okay first couple of moves. You need to get this piece into play and always watch out for these kind of ideas. Drop back, and now he took on D5. He simply couldn't stand this piece any longer. This is a typical phenomenon. You don't want to tolerate this bishop any longer and simply take it. But this is in a way also a concession, as White gets the very strong D pawn. Maybe it was better to delay this capture a bit. This is the typical kind of situation where computers are simply much better than human players, simply because it's a matter of nerves. It's probably better not to take so quickly, but the human simply cannot stand the tension of this piece staring at you all the time. Yeah, and of course White has advanced here with the H-pawn, and this will be tricky now. We see that White didn't intend to take, but to play to H6 is much stronger, as it gives the mating square on G7. At one point the queen might deliver mate, and also you've got the D-pawn, and the combined power of both pawns, of both the pawn and this mating ideas give White a really clear advantage. It's not so clear if black can defend successfully. In the game,
Check.
I didn't analyze it so deeply, simply because the other games took too much time. If you look at this here in this position,
Check.
Topalov gave this check. Here he had many very strong options, and I think he's got winning chances in almost all of them. What he could have done, what is a relatively simple solution, is rook e3. The idea is that black, of course, cannot take because of the simple mate here. And what is black supposed to do? You cannot exchange here, as now this is not avoidable. So black is in a bit of a bother here. What he's supposed to do? The only playable move is king f8, really, and then rook e7. Yeah, this was the end game that Topalov could reach, and I think this is flat out winning for white. It's he will get the a pawn as well, and you've got the h pawn and can use the king. This is also weakness. I think this should be relatively straightforward technical win. This was just one line. I mean, if you look at it with the computer, it looks like it should be super easy, but white has so many options that it is not so easy. Computer also gives a5 as winning, f4 as winning, and so on, but it's not so easy.
Check. Check.
In fact, in the game, after some moves which are also influenced by time travel, at the end this exchange happened, and now black's got counterplay. The a pawn is on its way, and it's not so clear how white should make any progress. This is a pretty solid blockade now. The game, after some additional moves, ended in a draw. I think for a couple of moves Topalov maybe hoped that he can do something on the h pawn and connect it to this, but there's simply nothing happening. Black can just go here and in this way protect h7. Yeah, I think at least at one point Topalov could have won the game. Very likely also at other points. It was a narrow escape here for the black player. But as this game isn't so important for the overall standings, and the other ones are more interesting, I just showed it briefly with this one critical point. Even less interesting, unfortunately, was the game Wang Hao Rajabov. We got a Nimzo Indian here, and Wang Hao played f3. This is a line that I had recommended in my repertoire series quite a while ago, and it is a good line for white that is possible to be played in many ways. Some lines are very sharp, but some are also rather safe. And in this case, we get a main line with this, and this is actually one of the sub-variations of this opening that has the reputation to be very safe for white. It looks a bit weird, maybe this this statement, but it really is the case. The thing is that if you look at it, what happened? White has won a pawn here, and he's got the two bishops. What black has got in its favor is it's got a very healthy structure, and quite often we reach this kind of formation. You see that black can constantly take pawns on c3, but he doesn't. This, for example, runs into a very nasty pin, which is very, very problematic. This, for example, already wins. If black goes away with the knight, there's this coming. Black can never really take on c3. Okay, also here you can take, but it didn't really help black. the c3 pawn is not much use anyway. So, and now we see a reason why this is a very safe line. The best that black can do is at some point sacrifice a pawn to get his queenside mobilized. Black very often plays b6, and even here it was possible already. Black can take here, but this leads to big problems like this, and white just has the two bishops. If he solves this pawn structure problem, white is of course much better. Yeah, you see in the game white keeps the pawn, and the best that black can do really is now play b6 and get rid of this very annoying pawn. And now, yeah, white actually plays this, but quite often you see this structure where white is a pawn up and black usually has enough compensation to get one pawn back, but it's very drawish at the end if black wins the a4 pawn. So this is a very safe line as mentioned. In the game, Wang Hao played a5 and advanced all the way to a6. And now after the queen trade we got an endgame where white has got the two bishops, but black has immediate play against a6. And yeah, he even certainly should have thought about capturing, but it's not so clear that this is really a good idea, as black's pieces are somewhat tied together here. You can play it, but he didn't want to. He decided to develop first and activate pieces. Yeah, in fact, I think after a couple of precise moves, it went on for a bit. We reached an equal endgame. Black always had chances to get a6 back, and now did so. Didn't move forward here. Check. And here a draw was agreed because of this line. Check. And it's pretty much dead with further exchanges coming. It's possible that there maybe were improvements along the line. If there were, probably for white, as white still seemed somewhat better here, slightly better maybe only, but I didn't really invest much time to check this. It wasn't so exciting anyway and not relevant for the overall standings. Much more important for the standing was Carlsen against Svidler. Of course, Magnus needs to win a game now, as Karjakin is leading with 3 out of 3. So with white, should try to win. Yeah, Svidler is not repeating his 1e5 of the candidates tournament, but rather goes for a mainline Sicilian here with d6, and Carlsen plays bishop b5 check, as he usually does. He rarely nowadays plays d4 for the opening Sicilian. Knight d7, and now a surprise. Normally the most ambitious move here is d4, and this is what he had played earlier in the tournament against Anand. Another possibility is also the move c3, which gives the bishop a square on c2. For instance, something like this, to allow a retreat square. In the game he played the move castles, which looks entirely normal, but the fun fact is, what do you play after a6? Bishop is attacked. It needs to move. You don't really want to take, as after d4. Here you get a similar position to the one shown before, but here white has castled already and lost lots of his flexibility. Carlsen's idea was completely different. He played bishop t3, which looks kind of curious, but it's not bad at all. The idea is to continue with c3 and bishop c2, and after all that with d4. It's not a bad idea. It's a bit time consuming, but in the meantime, what is black doing? He played a6 and a knight to a not really great square on d7. Yeah, how should black react now? I think the most normal looking move is knight f6, and in fact there are quite a number of games in the database with this. So bishop d3 is not an innovation. It's been played before. Amazingly, I never saw this move, but it has been played even by the likes of Caruana. So not a move you, I don't know, see frequently in under 10 championships in some small country or so. It's been played by grandmasters. Okay, but Swidler didn't play knight f6, the normal looking move. He played knight to e5, which in fact also has been played before, but by a relatively low level game. And I'm pretty sure that after this game now, Carlsen Swidler, no one is going to play knight e5. It's really a strange decision if you look at this. Just a couple of normal moves. a4 was to prevent b5. You see that black has weakened the structure here. It's got a double pawn, which in itself is not such a big deal, but it really clogs up the position and gives white an attacking point on e5. We see that after bishop e6, bishop b2, this is hanging already. And what is black supposed to do? If he plays a move like knight to d7, there's this kind of setup possible. We've got knight c4 coming, attacking this, and if black plays a move like g6, you always need to make sure that f4 isn't terrible, and it is really dangerous if white is coming with f4. So it's a bit of a tricky position. Swidler decided to play something else. He took on b3, a move you can easily overlook really, because it's so uncommon, this setup. Not theoretically uncommon, but you don't see it in other openings as well. Yeah, the idea is that the bishop on d3 is of course hanging, so if you would take here, queen takes, and this is okay for black of course. But Carlsen simply played queen to e2, now attacking or keeping on attacking this pawn and securing this bishop. So what's black supposed to do? You can retreat, it's not lost or anything, but then white will get this pawn back anyway, and after that be quicker in the center. He decided to play c4, immediately returning a pawn. Okay, not much choice. White regained the pawn now, and yeah, now if we look at this a little bit deeper, we see that white is better developed. He's got castles already in an active queen that can drop to a safe square if attacked. Bishop attacks bishop attacks e5, and black already is somewhat behind here and cannot easily or quickly castle. The next moves are very very logical. It's important to note that black cannot take on c2. After queen b7, it's really terrible. This is also hanging. And what is black doing now? White also just threats to improve the position further, and he will win those pawns. So queen c2 is not possible at all. e6 to get on with the king side. Knight d2, knight d7, knight c4. All very logical. Knight c4 attacking the e5 pawn, and now b6. In this position you see that b6 has secured a square on c5, and it also made sure that white isn't playing a5. And if you look at this a5, you can drop one move back and ask yourself, why not a5 for white? And in fact there is no reason why this move shouldn't be played, and this is probably one of the critical points in the game. Carlsen here should have played a5 instead of knight c4. It makes sure that this pawn is not moving, and in fact this is a very thankless position now. The main problem is that white would establish this knight on c4, and this knight is not assailable at all. It cannot be driven away from this from the square. Of course, black cannot take it all here because of rook c1. This is an important tactical point. So we'll probably play a move like, let's say, bishop here and knight c4. Similar to the game, but take note, this pawn is still on b7. And now white has got really easy play to improve further. Rook b1, moving the bishop away. Not sure where, actually. There are many ideas. Can go here. You can also think about the regrouping. What white is going to do is pressurize b7. This is just a very nice pawn to attack. In the game, as Carlsen played this first, Svidler was quick to play b6 and prevent that. And this is really, knight c4 was a pretty serious mistake that failed to use the opening advantage that Carlsen got because of Svidler's knight e5 move. Yeah, in fact, here I was surprised again. Instead of this, oops, sorry, stop back, b6. Instead of this king h1 move, which obviously intends to go f4 at some point or advance here, I was wondering if white maybe should play bishop a3. I think probably this would have been my choice. But I understand why you don't want to make this move. It looks a bit weird to offer a trade against this undeveloped bishop. But okay, the idea is to put now pressure on b6, and it looks like black is holding, but it's not nice. I mean, look at this. White is still pressing a bit. I like this more than the game. But okay, it's understandable what Magnus tried. Yeah, we had a queen trade now, and after this, Svidler is busy to get rid of his only possible weakness. We reached a completely equal position. Here, in fact, there was one interesting possibility. White could play rook to c1, intending to play rook c8. A possible line is this.
Check.
Oh, I'm sorry. The bishop is saying, of course, this one. Rook g8. And it seems that black is holding. It's not looking too attractive, but it doesn't seem to win. Rook here, and just a pawn move. It's not clear how white is going to improve that. It looks terribly passive. I don't see how white should win though. And it's not forced. Black doesn't necessarily need to take on d3. It can also retreat the rook. But rook d3 is the most principled move. Maybe this was a bit tougher. In the game, they exchanged this rook as well. And it was absolutely nothing. Now the rooks come off on b8. And okay, they exchanged a couple of more. Yeah, some more material, and agreed to a draw. Yeah, Magnus didn't exploit the chances in the opening given by this somewhat strange move, knight e5. Especially curious is that he didn't play a5, because this looks like such a normal positional move. It's the kind of move you relatively quickly play in a blitz game, I would say, because it's just the normal thing you do, and somehow it didn't. He didn't do that, and he took some time. I don't know how to tell what's the issue here, why he didn't go a5. A draw at the end, and this is of course not enough. He really should have won to stay in the hunt in this tournament. Okay, so we have looked at 3 games now relatively quickly. Now let's look at the two other ones, the final games. Start with Aronian against Karjakin. Yeah, the situation is Karjakin 3 out of 3 and Aronian has got +1. So let's see what happens. Aronian certainly trying to go for a win. Yeah, Karjakin sticks to his guns. He plays the Queen's Indian basically all his life. Queen's Indian and Nimzo Indian against d4. He's very steady in this. And the bishop a6 line. Yeah, it seems that the trendy move Queen c2 with the pawn sacrifice ideas, c5, d5, has fallen out of favor again, and people switch back to the old line, b3, the old main line, which is really played like, I don't know, yeah, thousands of times since the 70s. There are many possible ways to play as black. One is check. The line that Karjakin is choosing, giving the check and dropping back. This lures this bishop into to a bad square. You much prefer to have it on b2 later and not on d2, so it's a good check. Note that this move can lead to really ugly problems. Just to show a funny line. The rook is trapped, or bishop b4. It's both good. So there are some tricky lines. White really needs to play bishop d2. Yeah, now it dropped back. Knight c3. Yeah, this is a much sharper move than bishop g2. Bishop g2 is possible as well. After that, black plays this setup. He can do other things, but this is what normally is played. Knight c3 is a bit more aggressive. The idea is that after c6 by black, you can play e4 immediately and then play a position like that, or bishop d3. This is also possible. Looks a bit funny with g3 to ignore this later and go bishop b3, but it's a line. Okay, Karjakin castled first, bishop g2, and now c6 and d5. And we follow for a while the game Hammer against Karjakin. It was very, very similar. And I don't want to get so much into the details here of the opening phase. It's much more interesting later. In general, I must say that I'm absolutely not impressed what White is doing in this game somehow. It feels that the knight on in a4 and the weakened queen side are a problem. Look at this. What is this a4 knight doing? It cannot easily draw back, or here because of knight c3. I'm not so sure. It's probably about equal, this position, but I really don't see the big point of White's setup. It obviously was a piece of preparation. Both players were playing very quickly. Or is this a malfunction of the clock? No. I mean, the clock here on ICC, what they record. But they played it instantly up to now, and now Karjakin spent some time, 20 minutes almost, on rook c8. So the question is for me, what is White's big plan? In fact, it very quickly got critical. Rook c8 was answered by bishop h3, and this was obviously the idea that Aronian had. Where is this rook supposed to go? Doesn't really have a good square, so you play f5 and support the e4 knight also. f3, knight d6, and queen d3. Yeah, funny enough, now Aronian is taking lots of time for this f3 move. And this is the kind of preparation that I don't understand. It's not like I'm doing heavy criticism here, just hard for me to figure how you play all this instantly. Now, then the opponent plays the most normal move ever, rook c8. After bishop h3, you pretty much force f5. And then you spend like 40 minutes to play f3. This is really curious. It's funny sometimes. Okay, a drop back to d6. Of course, to d6 because here's a potentially good square. On d6 it covers also f5, so nice one. Queen d3, attacking on f5. Yeah, black now took. And here is a very, very critical point in this game. I think in this position here, white also, it's not the most principled move, of course, but here white also could have taken with the bishop and kept the pawn structure completely symmetrical. This is, of course, not exactly the kind of move you play if you want to win the game, which Aronian certainly intended to do, being 1 point behind his direct rival. But this looks much safer to me. He took with the pawn, okay. And now, after the exchange, black went knight c4. Here also rook c1 was a possibility instead of bishop c1. We can have a look at that. Yeah, of course, after rook c1, black also plays knight c4. You did not intend to go backwards. And now it's quite sharp. What about this f5 pawn? Isn't it just hanging? Yeah, white can take it. And now it's really funny because black has got a whole host of options. It's really curious. For example, the weird looking move rook takes f5 is even interesting. Look at this. After g5 you have the bishop trapped. Quite I think out of the blue the bishop is trapped. And it's a total mess. White can take on g5, for example, and play even f4. Yeah, I have no idea what's going on here. It's one possibility. Black can sack on f5, but he doesn't need to. He has other ideas. He can also play the move bishop g5. It's rather strong. If white takes here, for example, and does this, there's this rook hanging. This is a very important point. And in fact, in this concrete position, black is winning. This is also bad. Note that in all those lines, white is playing a piece down, the a4 knight. He somehow never managed to get this knight back into play. So this is if white takes with the rook. He took with the bishop, which is understandable because, as you saw, this bishop can get in trouble, so he took with that. And knight c4. And again, a very, very complicated position. What should white do? If we look at this, bishop f5, there's knight e5. This is already good for black. If you look at, white can take if you want, takes. And now drop back, for example. There's simply this move, and also d4 as an additional way to increase the pressure. White is playing a piece down. It's really curious. In some very often complicated positions and complicated matters on the chessboard can be stripped down to one single essence, 1 point, and here it is, this offside knight on a4. Somehow there's lots of action in the center and the knight is not really participating. What is white supposed to do? Bishop f5 is not the solution, we saw that. I think what he should have done, probably, it's not nice, but it's probably rook e1, protecting the pawn with the rook. In the game, he played f4, which is understandable. But look at this. It opens up this long diagonal and weakens the structure. And we see that the liability, the knight, is again the problem. It's attacked now. Retreats. And now queen b6 check with the tempo. Rook f2 and d4. This is forced after f4, and this is also why I think that white should have avoided that. Look at this now. The knight is again kicked, and funny enough, it could have gone to a4 because of this knight c4 hanging. And it's not great, but just to show it. One line is this. With a fantastic position for black. Look at those centralized pieces, and white only has got bad pieces. The bishop is not doing much, this bishop is not doing much, and black's got an excellent pawn in the center. Yeah, this was knight a4. You don't want to do that. Again on the rim. He played knight to e2, which is probably better in comparison, but white is already in big trouble here. Maybe it is already impossible to save the game. It was really funny. I'm not so sure. It really is f4 the decisive mistake. It really leads to big trouble, but it's so hard to believe. I mean, the whole setup is probably a bit risky with this, as mentioned, offside knight, and a move like f4 maybe really puts it over the edge. Okay, knight e2, and now rook d8. Again, very strong. Karjakin is playing simple but very strong chess here. He abandons the f pawn simply because the d pawn is much too strong. If white takes here now, there's queen c6 and curtains. White can resign. No way to prevent queen h1 and wins. Yeah, white can do this to shield from the immediate mate, but black's got this one. It's quite a funny mate. So bishop f5 wasn't playable at all. He went for queen takes f5, but now we see the blockade is lifted on the d3 square, and black played d3. Yeah, why was there an urge to take the pawn? Black was threatening bishop e4, deadly. You really don't have a move here. If you play something like this, let's for instance, there's again this. And this is just a rocket of a pawn. It just flies all the way home to d1. Okay, so in the game, queen f5, d3, check. A check. And now the d pawn. It's unstoppable. Aronian gave this piece, and now last try with e6 was refuted by the simple capture, getting rid of the pawn. And I'm not quite sure when he resigned. Here Aronian resigned in view of queen h1 mate. Yeah, this means Karjakin is on 4 out of 4. And after the game he said the last time he had 4 wins in a tournament at the start must have been at some under 10 championship. Yeah, probably this is correct. Often this is said in jest, and there is one tournament where he did this 4 out of 4 at the start, but for category, I don't know what it is, 21 or something, a super elite tournament, starting with 4 wins is really unheard of. So, yeah, out of this world start for Karjakin, who plays obviously very precisely and punished Aronian's maybe slightly loose play. It's really hard to assess this. I mean, I don't really like it. I have a complete aversion against putting stuff on the rim. I'm honest there. Even if it is good, I don't like to do it, and therefore I'm maybe a bit biased against White's play. I simply hate it to have a knight on a4 which doesn't do anything, and maybe this raised the stakes so high that a further mistake with f4 was really leading to a position that you cannot repair anymore. Okay, so there's one game left open. This is Arnold against Nakamura. Yeah, Arnold on +1, so it's got this position on place 2 in the standings, right behind Karjakin, 1 point down, and he just won a nice game against Topalov, while Nakamura is he on 50%? I think he's on -1, right? I would have needed to look it up. I think he's on -1 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so certainly Anand tries to press here. Played e4, and Nakamura, he plays lots of openings. He played e5, and we got a Ruy Lopez. In fact, we got this sort of improved improved Archangel variation. How it is? This is a very curious line because it doesn't really have a completely an established name. It's one of the most popular lines in the Ruy Lopez in the last, let's say, 15 years, but it's not quite sure how it is should be called. Some people call it the Tkachiev variation because the Russian, or is he Ukrainian? Vladislav Tkachiev, it's originally from Russia or Ukraine. I hope I'm not wrong here. But he's living in France for a long time now. He's he has been one of the main persons to put this into the limelight. But also Shirov has played it very, very often. He also published, I think, even more than one DVD on it. And Anand has played this line as black many times. So it's a very popular line that doesn't really have a well-established name. Another name is this name Neo-Archangelsk. There's the Archangelsk variation with bishop b7, or Archangel, strangely enough, how it is sometimes in English called, and bishop c5 is sort of improved version of bishop b7, simply because sometimes the bishop can be used on this diagonal. Okay, so long introduction to this opening. It's all very normal. Note that here it's an important trick that black shouldn't take on e4 because bishop d5 attacks both knights. It's a funny motif. Black cannot take, but he can just castle. Knight d2, rook e8, all very normal. Rook e1, knight a5, and c5. So black managed to get in this typical pawn move c5 that often is delayed in the Ruy Lopez, and it needs some preparation to play it, like knight a5, or move the knight c6 to some other square and play c5. I'm not an expert on this line for black. I play e5 for years now, but I always played the classical lines with bishop to e7. So I cannot really tell the theoretical status of all this. The only thing that I can say, judging from my experience in Ruy Lopez middle games, I think it's quite, for me at least, surprising that Anand went for this, because it, frankly speaking, looks like nothing. If this is all that white can do against bishop c5, then maybe I should pick it up, because well, what exactly is white's plan here? Black can even play c4 later and get this exchanged. And he doesn't even have a space disadvantage or anything. It just looks like Black has effortlessly got an equal position. Yeah, knight g4, interesting way to play. Knight f1 and bishop e6. Note that the exchange is not especially good, because this helps White to maybe get a knight on d5. First, this move, this introduces this possibility amongst others. Knight g5. Yeah, a tactical way, or a concrete, let's say, way to tackle this this position. It leads to some exchanges. Knight e3, knight e6. Now, interesting. Nakamura takes with the pawn. This is a very good decision. At first you think, okay, why exactly? Was rook e3, rook e6? Was there some tactical problem? No, but if you look at this position, White has ideas with the knight. He can, especially to d5, knight f5 isn't such a big deal, because you probably can play g6 and kick it out. But look at the knight on d5. This is not easy at all to get rid of, and it really gives, it somehow injects some sense into White's position if you are able to play knight to d5. Here White is probably better. But Nakamura played f takes e. Very good, and it's not terribly difficult for a good player, but it's very important to note that the double pawns are not so much of a problem, but it's much more important that the 6 pawn covers d5 and f5. Knight takes, what else? And c4. Yeah, so this was what Anand was aiming for with this knight g5 operation, and I think that this position is around equal. It's nothing special for either side. I think Black has got this double pawn, which nicely controls central squares, but it also is a slight liability. It can be attacked at a later stage. A problem for White, though, is that this bishop is not doing much. It just protects the pawn, and it's not doing anything else. This is a strong piece. And the knight on a5, yeah, it can be improved with knight c6, of course, or knight b7 to c5 might be an idea as well. So I think it's about equal. Let's see what happens. Queen h5, queen to c7, or normal, covering the pawn. Knight g4, attacking it. And now a strong move, rook f8, using counterplay against f2. So White cannot capture on e5 because check. This wins the house. Rook e2, covering the weakness. And now rook to d8. Interesting move. What happens now if White takes on e5? We should have a brief look at this. It's very strong. Attacking f2 and pinning the knight on the 5th rank. This is actually already winning for Black. Simply no move. There's this threat, and this will pick up the knight. So there are many little tactical ideas here. Queen e5 can be answered with this. And Black has quite good chances here. Can always get this back and have the active position. It at least doesn't help in any way for White if you want to try for something. Yeah, Anand played played just rook d1. They exchanged the rook. Rook to d8, attacking the bishop. Bishop c2. So now a critical moment of the game. In fact, all upcoming moves now are critical because it gets really sharp now quickly. This position, if you look at it at first, it looks not too spectacular. Well, it's still maybe about even, but there are some features in the position that that make it a little bit tricky. And one key feature is the weak back rank that white has, and in fact also black. This bishop is the only piece that covers the back rank. This is something you always need to be aware of, and this is also why rook e2, it was necessary to do this move, but is a bit of a shaky move because just a heavy piece on d1 and you're mated. What is black supposed to do now? I think the normal move would be maybe knight c6, get this knight back and try to use it in the center. Nakamura played something else though. He was playing very quickly. He played b4 now, after some thought. And I think this is in fact a very, very serious mistake, which you can, of course, this is it's always the same, which you can easily find out if you check it with an engine. But it's not the kind of, it meets a refutation that I think Arnaud really should see. I'm not really sure why he didn't go for that, because it's pretty evident that, at least in my mind, that this is a good move. You probably are not able to calculate all of it, but I think you pretty quickly recognize that this is the one you should play. First, we should look again quickly at knight takes e5. This is now not working because of b3. Yeah, as mentioned, the back rank. White can go here, but after g6, queen moves, knight c6. This is actually lost. The problem being knight c6, rook d3, and there's mate threatened, and the knight is gone. It's over. So this is not the move, not knight takes e5, but white has a very strong tactical idea, and this is rook to d2, using the fact that black has got a weak back rank as well. And once you see the move, I cannot believe that Anna didn't see it at all. Once you see the move, I think it's pretty clear that it should be a good move. You take the d file and instantly get rid of the mating ideas. Rook d1, where you get mated, and you can calculate some lines, and they all are excellent for white. I think white has a substantial advantage after rook d2. For example, it's still tricky. If black plays a nothing move, let's say this to, it's not a completely nothing move, but a move that doesn't change so much. Check. White can even simply take all this. Queen d2 at the end can be answered by taking, and a simple move like h3. And white is better after this. Just one line. h6 is not a problem, not a particularly useful move. And an important point is, if black drops back here, improving the knight, covering this pawn, there's the good move bishop a4, and suddenly this bishop is alive and is doing a good job. With the idea to take, and at the end take e5. Frankly speaking, there is no good move now for black. What else is there? If you play, let's say you go back to f8, just for argument's sake, then white can simply take it. e5 is hanging, there is no compensation. So it's really curious that Anand didn't see this after strange time. That is, the time given here is very weird. What he did is he took on b4, and this is a mistake. It's not leading to a big trouble already for white, but the other move was simply giving white a pretty big edge. Knight c6 back. This was Nakamura's idea. He attacks now d4 and knight d4. He was playing aggressively, and very often it's the case that aggressive play that is probably not 100% correct is still rewarded, because grabbing the initiative is always uncomfortable for the opponent. Yeah, it seems that in this position again Anand should play rook d2. It seems like the best move anyway. However, knight d4 is of course now a completely different animal. Instead of having it on a5, black is now on d4. But you can go here and protect your position, and this seems all right. Note that black cannot play something like this.
Checkmate.
It's again a mate, yeah. This was probably the best. After bishop a4 now, what Anand played, there was knight takes b4, simple move, and it was played. And now it gets rather tricky, and the reason is, again, knight d3, supporting and increasing the pressure on f2. There's still the mating ideas. Let's have a look at queen e5. This is what Anand played. He grabbed the pawn, and queen e7. Yeah, we can look at this position. This is really very tricky to play. Maybe white should think about going back here. Maybe it was a tougher defense, but it's very, very tricky already. Just a sample line: knight d3, queen takes, and knight f4. How do you defend this? It's really tricky. Yeah, let's say rook back, queen g5. Knight here, and there's mate on g2, so he cannot play knight back even. Black has a very strong initiative. In the game, Anand decided to go queen to h5. Yeah, now Nakamura had a choice, a very important choice. He has two knight moves, can go to d3, or I can capture the pawn. And knight d3 was a good move. Let's just have a look. It looks very natural, not to take a rather unimportant pawn at the moment, but to increase the pressure. Probably g3, because knight f4 here was a threat. And now I'm not sure. There are many interesting moves. Rook f8 or bishop to d4 can be a good move, centralizing. There's always the b2 pawn that can be won. Black has excellent play here for the pawn. It's hard to tell what was better. He took on a2, which I think, according also and supported by the engine, gave white a chance to get out of this trouble. White obviously is in some trouble after his misses with bishop a4 and not playing rook d2. Yeah, white, it seems, can play knight to e5, but this is a very, very complicated line, and it's not easy at all to calculate. A possibility, just to show why this is so tricky. If black goes knight to c1, attacking the rook, you need to go rook to c2 Yeah? It's already very shaky. Yeah? Look at this rook e1, knight d3, and this is over. It's too much. The pawn f2, white will collapse. You need to go to this very weird square c2, which looks completely insane, and this is why I'm saying this is very much a computerish line, because now you're only defending d1, the mate square, rook d1 mate, with the queen. You just blocked the bishop from a4. It's just a technical thing. g6, queen g4, and queen d6. And now there's maybe the moment where you stop to calculate and think, oh my gosh, how am I going to defend this now? You maybe see rook c1 and queen e5, and this is the threat. This is the threat. It's really tricky, and it's not even a pawn. I mean, black has gotten the pawn back. Black has big pressure. In fact, the move that saves white here is the amazing bishop to d7, which is completely crazy. No one is going to calculate this. Knight e5, rook c2. This whole sequence is completely nuts. But it is a draw now. I can show you this. This even loses. There's this one hanging, this one hanging. It's just an extra exchange. So what is black supposed to do? You can take here, and after this, check. Funny enough, it's all working out nicely. Oops, sorry. Of course, with the rook d2, and of course with the bishop, took the wrong piece here with the bishop, and then it's a draw really, and no one can calculate this. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Anand did consider knight e5. Centralizing is always a move. A move to consider. It's also introducing this possibility, but it was very difficult to play all this. Another line, queen d6, you go g3. Yeah. And now g6. It's slightly different. Here white can actually oh sorry. You can take here. Yeah, I have some notes prepared, and it's a bit of a jungle of of lines here. You can actually take here, and this is still okay for white, but it's a pure tactical thing that you can easily screw up while calculating. In the game, Anand didn't play knight e5, which this was probably the way to go, and maybe this is why knight takes a2 was at least theoretically worse than knight d3. But from a practical point of view, knight a2 basically won the game, because now Anand played g3, and this basically gives it away, because black has a very strong move now, and this is knight c1, played by Nakamura. Simply attacking the rook, and where it is supposed to go. It went to c2, the rook, and the alternative would be to drop back, but this after knight d3 is also not nice at all. Just look at this. So lots of pressure, and there are additional problems. Let's say here there's queen b4, attacking the offside bishop, introducing this idea. It's quite a problem. This is another important point, that black can improve to d4 even, and here white will probably collapse quite quickly. The relatively best defense is bishop c2, but we're getting really deep into the lines now. Here it is funny that this isn't even the best move. Check. Here, this is clearly better for black, but the game continues. Black can even decide not to take and play improving moves like bishop c5 and so on. White really has no move. The problem is that the queen is not doing much. It has got no squares. You can try queen g5, but maybe then I'll take. It's even somewhat better in comparison. Yeah, white is in big trouble here. I think he cannot defend this. In the game, it led to similar play. He went to c2, knight e3, and now e5. But instead of e5, you can look at other moves. If you, for example, play rook e2 again, then there's again rook f8, queen b4. It's a transposition. e5 has got the idea, I believe, to play bishop c6. In fact, one thing that I should say, I really doubt the clock times. I'm only now looking at them, and I cannot really believe that both had 35 minutes on the clock. This really would be a quite weird time management in such a complicated position before. Okay, e5. The idea, I think, is bishop c6, bishop e4, if possible. The drawback is the queen has got even less squares now. Rook f8. And now rook c4. And if white tries to realize this plan now with bishop c6, there's a strong reply in rook f5. Well, the queen. It's a problem. If white now plays queen e8, for instance, there's this, and a very sad knight. And resigns. I cannot go queen e8, but yeah, where do you go? It's really ugly now. Something like this. And it explodes. Everything's hanging. F2, e5. It's just terrible. There's also this one. Yeah, far too much. So this is just busted. You cannot go bishop c6. He decided to take on c4, but this didn't really help. Check. Nakamura just took on f2. Took on f2, and king g2 was played. If white decides to capture, there's the very strong move queen a7. This is even stronger than the simple recapture, because now it's a mate threat and possibly rook f2 in case of a king move. Here it's just over. If he drops back, there's this one. And it's completely winning. One problem is that this check is met with a counter check. You don't have that too often, but check answered by a check is always nice. So you played king g2, so far more obvious move. And now bishop c5 back. This is strong. It allows this kind of check, and also introduces this idea. Quite nice. Played bishop to c6. If white plays a nothing move, yeah, I'm not sure what nothing move there is. Let's do this, just for argument's sake. Check. Then this is the idea. Checkmate. And a very cute mate here with the king. b4 is a nonsense move. It was just to show the threat, basically. Yeah, white has no save anymore. Played bishop c6, and now rook f5. Strong, just attacking here. And white now went queen to h4. on this move, black can exchange and play king f8. This is very nice. If the bishop now retreats, there's knight e1 with the mate.
Checkmate.
Yeah, very nice mate. So everything's working nicely together. And this is, of course,
checkmate. Also
mate. So queen e8 wasn't exactly winning. Wasn't exactly helping. Winning, it's also not winning, of course. Yeah, he played queen to h4.
Check.
And now knight e1 check. King to h3. And the simple move queen to f7. And this is the last stroke here. Rook h5 coming, and there is no way to prevent it. At first I thought, oh wait, what about this one? But then there's bishop e7 and the queen is trapped. It's really tragic position. It's also not saving. So he played rook takes and gave up the queen. But after this additional moves, Anand resigned. So this is threatened. This is threatened. He will lose even more material. It's not just queen against rook and bishop. He will lose more material. Computer's on -12, so it's very, very, very clear. So a very nice and strong win by Nakamura. Anand only had one point in the game where he could have played much better with rook d2. I'll quickly go back to this point. b4 really was an aggressive but probably bad move because of this, but Anand missed it, and after that got into substantial problems which he couldn't solve over the board. And it was difficult, it would have been difficult even with much more time and so on, but with limited time it was hard to defend, and at the end he went down. So what does this mean for the standing? Yeah, Karjakin has got 4 points now. Aronian lost against Karjakin, and Anand lost against Nakamura. So Karjakin is leading with 4 out of 4, and he's 2 points ahead if I'm not mistaken. It's really funny. Everybody else got 50% or less. So it's really, really funny. I think the only conceivable way is that maybe Carlsen is beating Karjakin and wins a ton of more games, but otherwise Karjakin really has it in the bag. Probably he has, unless he's really starting to lose now lots of games. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I think it was interesting game, especially at the end here by Anand and Nakamura. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow with the next round 5.